Should schools require students to wear uniforms? Suppose you were stopped at the side of the road by a police officer and he was wearing jeans with holes in them and they were sagging down to his knees. Would this be disturbing for any other reason than it being non-traditional? I believe that clothing we wear is a way of reinforcing mindset. A policeman in his uniform is reminded of his responsibility to protect life and property. Students in uniform are similarly reminded of their roles as students. School uniforms are certainly not the only factor to consider when judging a student's overall academic performance. Even so, Japan, Taiwan, and Hong Kong are the countries that score best on international tests, and all three states require their students to wear uniforms. It seems evident that uniforms have a positive contribution to fostering a serious attitude towards education. An impressive example of a school uniform policy experiment in the United States was in California, a California school district. A year after the uniform policy was implemented in 1994, the fights and muggings at school decreased by 50%. School offenses were reduced by 74%. Middle school attendance reached almost 95%. Research shows a correlation between appropriate dress and academic performance. As a principal in Maryland said, students will not be distracted with who is wearing what brand of jeans, shoes, or shirts. Students can focus on learning, which is why they are here. Safety is a huge concern today in our society. Bullying has created an enormous problem for public schools. School uniforms can diminish the amount of bullying within schools by removing the opportunity to judge someone by their appearance. Everyone is dressed the same, so judgment is not as prevalent. By wearing uniforms, the low-income and high-income students look the same. From the California school statistics stated earlier, 89% of the students involved in bullying are low income. Tension and temptation to bully will be reduced dramatically by eliminating this barrier between social classes. Wearing school uniform also causes a reduction in gang-related activities. Clothing is significant to gang culture, and our public schools are the #1 place for gang recruitment. Imagine a U.S. Army recruiter out of uniform to recruit new soldiers. The success rate goes down. The same applies to gang recruitments. School uniforms allow more students to be happier and enjoy school. Uniforms establish the kind of atmosphere that allows students to see the positives of public education. Many students who wear uniforms say they feel more school pride. Students feel more connected to their school and classmates when they're wearing school colors. If there is a sense of community and compatibility among the students, then the use of foul language, gang behavior, and crimes like vandalism are generally reduced. Self-confidence in students grows by wearing school uniforms because the student knows that they are a part of something bigger. Some say that school uniforms hinders the student to be an individual. It has also been said that uniforms infringe on the student's freedom. However, uniforms do not threaten a student's individual freedom because there are many other things which make you, you besides clothing. People would be noticed for who they are as individuals rather than for what they're wearing. Japheth Sanchez, research assistant professor, and George Gus Hill, associate professor, designed a 49-question survey in which approximately 1,350 students responded during the school's first year of implementing a uniform policy. The students were 7th and 8th graders at Vaughn and Pine Middle Schools in Reno and at Sparks Middle Schools in Sparks. Students' top-rated statements with responses of agree and strongly agree were, I still have my identity when I wear a uniform, 54%. My family likes that I wear a uniform to school, 53%. I think uniforms save money on clothes, 50%. I worry less about how others look, 42%. And there's less gang activity at school, 41%. When I was in middle school, a person was judged by what they wore. It was very popular to wear brand name clothing, and people recognized you if you were wearing brand name clothing. And I was kind of obsessed about it. I really wanted to have brand name clothing like everyone else. And I even bugged my parents all the time about it, but we couldn't afford it. They were too expensive. And I feel like it kept me from concentrating on my studies and what, the real reason of me being in school was. I think having uniforms in schools when I was in middle school would have made a huge difference when I was there. I have a daughter that's in middle school now, and it would be so much easier if they had uniforms. She's not interested in name brand clothing, but I know there's other kids at her school that are. And I know that people judge each other by the kind of clothes that they wear. It just makes sense to me. As stated above, uniforms can improve a school's academic performance as well as help them to concentrate more on their studies and less on who is wearing what. It is important to feel safe and secure when you're getting an education. Wearing school uniforms does not solve all problems in schools, but from the above studies, it shows a significant improvement. And if you feel like your schools, your children's schools, should have school uniforms, I would encourage you to talk to the school board and to the principal and petition to have school uniforms be something that they should have in the schools. And if you're, or you could move to a school district where they do have school uniforms, and if your kids' schools do have school uniforms, then I would encourage you to support that. And I think it would make a huge difference if, as parents, we would speak up about what we think is right and that we need to have school uniforms in schools. Thank you.